This is just going to be a quick video on the two George Harrison CD box sets that are available. The first is the Apple Years, and this covers his first two solo albums, which were Wonderwall music and electronic sound. That's how unfamiliar I am with those albums. I actually have to look to verify that that's what they were called. And it goes all the way through Extra Texture. And this CD opens, or this box opens up like this, and then the CDs are housed within here. This artwork is from his home. I don't recall if that was the Kinfon's house, but I know he and Patty painted the walls of the outside walls in kind of psychedelic, just sort of very colorful, and I'm not sure exactly what you would call that particular design there. That's him actually painting. I believe this was painted in late 66 or possibly 1967. This is the electronic sound CD. And there's an essay, there's some recording notes, and the regular album credits, as well as some pictures from 1968. And the CD itself comes in this sleeve. And I believe Zappo was going to be an offshoot of the Apple label, and this was going to be devoted to electronic types of music. I have to confess, I have not listened to this all the way through. I've listened to parts of it, and it's interesting, but it's not something that I'm going to spend a lot of time listening to all the way through or repeatedly. And the same can be said for the Wonderwall soundtrack. Again, I have not listened very much to this, so I can't even really comment on these compositions or really what the music is like. I know I threw it on when I got this initially, but I don't remember much of it, so there's not a lot that can be said for it. This is the sleeve that it comes in. And then the next album that's included, which I consider to be his best solo album, if not the best solo album by any of the Beatles is All Things Must Pass. And this was the photograph when they did the 2000 anniversary reissue. They had this photograph that was contained, and it's George posing in front of the same window that he did with the original album artwork. I'm glad that this is the original black and white cover that they used instead of the colorized version from the 2000 anniversary set. I was never a fan of that. This is the lyrics here. I'm not going to pull this out. There is a booklet. Actually, there's not. I'm sorry, there's not a booklet, but this is the sleeve that the first CD comes in. Yeah, I don't know that there's a bad track on this album, to be honest. I mean, you might make the argument that the Apple Jam CD, or the Apple Jam portion of this, is weak. Even that I can listen to and it doesn't get too boring. But if I had to give my least favorite track on here, I'd actually have to think about it a while, because I love every single track on this album. I think it's amazing. Even my favorite McCartney albums, Ram and Band on the Run, I can say, well, I can definitely tell you which song I don't care for. Not that I don't care for it, but the one that I like the least. Whereas All Things Must Pass, I mean, pound for pound, it is one of the greatest Beatles solo albums, in my opinion. And I'm disappointed they did not include the Concert for Bangladesh album in this CD box set. Not sure why. So the next CD here is Living in the Material World. And this picture over here is supposed to be a parody or a mimicking of the Last Supper photograph. And this is the original gatefold. This is the booklet. Recording notes. Again, the Last Supper picture. Lyrics and pictures. The thing is, when you take these booklets out, it is really hard to jam them back in here. And I don't want to damage the digipack there, but... And of course, George with his Hare Krishna designs. Which would crop up in all of his subsequent album releases. And then Dark Horse. Of course, that's George's, I believe it was primary school class photograph, and he's at the top. There's a headmaster with the Capitol, I believe, is it? I believe it's a Capitol logo on his shirt. And then here's the original gatefold. And the rear cover. This is the booklet. with the lyrics. And the sleeve with George's wacky handwritten credits. And this was the original label for side 1. I believe side 2 was the from the eyes to the tip of the nose of Olivia Harrison. Yeah, these do not go in easy. And then the very last CD as part of this collection is, of course, Extra Texture. This does not have, the original was a die cut, and when you would take out the inner sleeve, on the other side there was a picture of George, but this is not the die cut. However, it does still retain the original inner sleeve and the "Oh, not him again," George's clever play on words. And then the apple, which is just a core there. I think that's some commentary on the finalization of the Beatles breakup. There's the inside of the CD. And some handwritten notes on what he wanted the album to look like, the artwork and the label, and then essay, some handwritten lyrics and notes, the lyrics to the songs. Not my favorite George album, as I'm sure is the same with most people. Not that it's bad, it's just not my favorite. I do think it's interesting. The first song, You, on here was actually an outtake from All Things Must Pass. So I do like it for that reason. The Answers at the End is okay. This Guitar Can't Keep From Crying. I do like Tired of Midnight Blue, but honestly the rest are not all that memorable. Not that I, again, dislike this album, it's just not my favorite. And this is a hardcover book that comes with the box set. And some of the pages are glossy. But most of them are glossy. It's a very, very nice book. This is an outtake from that Last Supper picture. And I believe there's an essay from Danny Harrison. And there's also a DVD which has some videos, and I believe there's a documentary on there as well. So that is the Apple Years box set. This cover will not stay closed, which is a little irritating. But of the two, I think this is the best put together one. It's of higher quality, I believe, than the next one, which is the Dark Horse Years. And much the same as the other one. However, the CDs themselves are, interestingly enough, in jewel cases. I'm not sure why. However, usually I prefer jewel cases, but for these box sets, I was so happy with the packaging of the original box set that I wish they'd done the exact same for this. But these are in jewel cases, which are not easy to get out of here for one. Extremely difficult to pry these out of here, which I don't like. This is 33 1/3. Anyway, this is a booklet. Booklets are not even as interesting as the ones from the last box set, but they do have the song lyrics. They've got some photographs, which were from the original. No new photographs in this one. Nothing that you hadn't seen before as part of the vinyl. So, as expensive as this was, I just would have, I think, expected a little higher quality or a little more in each of the CDs, but that is not the case. This is the self-titled George Harrison album. And interesting, I don't know if this is how the British copies look, but this has got George Harrison written in it's his own signature, which is not part of the vinyl copy I have or the original CD that I had. So I'm not sure if that was just added or maybe that's how all the British versions were, but nonetheless, this one actually does have some photographs that were not included as part of the original album packaging, because there really wasn't much in the way of album packaging for this particular album. Does have the song lyrics and credits. I believe that's Jackie Stewart that he's there walking with. George was big into, I believe, racing at this time, as evidenced by the song Faster on here. And of course it has the song Not Guilty, which was a White Album outtake, but George, the first time it was officially released was George's solo version from this album. And then somewhere in England, which of course this was the first time I had seen the British cover for that particular album. I was used to the American cover where he's just kind of sitting up against a wall. That's George with acupuncture on his face. Looks very painful. Song lyrics. And that is actually an outtake from the photograph that produced the American album. On the American cover, he's sitting up against this painting. It's a painting of a wall or something. I'm not sure what it is, but I do like the American cover better. Not crazy about George's head superimposed over a map of geographic, or a geological map or whatever this is of Great Britain. And then Gone Troppo. which is another album I have not listened to all the way through. Just the songs that I've heard from here, it's been kind of difficult for me to get into. And this is not a booklet. This actually folds out. So you've got lyrics here, and then this is like one big, almost like a poster. I'm not sure why that is. And then another one of my favorite George solo albums is Cloudnine. Just doesn't want to come out of here. I like that picture. Him without the sunglasses. Another outtake photograph. And this was part of a promotional poster this photograph was used for. And then even though the Bangladesh concert was not included in the first box set, they do include the Live in Japan 2 CD set. And there is a booklet. Not as thick as the one from the Apple years, but also the pictures are not quite as glossy. The only photographs that they have in here seem to be just from the one period. There's not any from the 80s at all. Well, okay, so there's, I guess there is one. Alright, so maybe there's a couple. I take it back. Kind of looks like his White Album picture. And again, a DVD with some videos on it. So that is the two George Harrison box set collections. Obviously, I favor the Apple years, but the other one is not terrible. I don't know that it is worth the expense, but anyway, thanks for watching.